Yesterday was awesome for me. Day off. Haven't had one in a while. I actually enjoyed my kids and the guys that have, you guys have heard me say this over and over. They've been so much fun to be around that they didn't get a day off. They were out in the Ronald McDonald House doing all kinds of community stuff, and that's what makes it fun to be around those guys. The pride they take and what they do in their school and the community and their personalities. They like being around each other. But yesterday was a good day for me. I don't feel real good right now. My strength guy, Scott's got me convinced that I needed to start working out in my legs again, something I hadn't done in 20 years. And I just finished a leg workout, so I'm a little tired right now.
Frank, do you talk at all about the record and the undefeated start? Do you want the guys to even think about that going forward?
No, I didn't speak to them about it when we were, 1-7 in league play 2 years in a row, or whatever we were. I'm not going to speak about it when it's the other way. I'm about today. I'm about whatever happened yesterday happened. We can't change it. We all made a decision to come here for the same reason. Let's figure out a way to be excited about the chance we get to do what we do every day. Let's learn from yesterday. Let's maximize today and prepare for tomorrow. That's all I try to do. 7-0 is nice. You sleep a little better. Because you won your last game. I can tell you this, I've been on a sideline where you're a whole lot and very little losses, and you're winning easy, and all of a sudden you lose a game and you don't sleep. Your record doesn't impact today. And so, no, I'm being genuine with you when I tell you, I ask the players. I've never brought it up.
I know you kind of set up this game for this purpose, and Pedro Gomez here was early in the week doing the feature on. How much pride do you take in this battle on Saturday?
Brian, when Orlando got hired, I called him right away because he and I have been friends for a while now, and he hired his brother, and then hired Sergio Rocco, who's from my neighborhood, who I was his assistant JV coach. Back in 1985 or whatever it was. And I called him not just to congratulate him, but to offer whatever help I can offer. And as he went through his transition, being a head coach for the first time. And then we talked about we need to figure out a way as we both build our programs to play each other. Maybe 50 years from now, maybe there'll be more than 2 Hispanic American coaches. Maybe there's 6 or 7. And we need to bring a little bit of light to that. It's part of our – I know we both take unbelievable responsibility for that flag that we both carry. And he was all over it. So, that's why we scheduled the game. We don't – you've heard me say it before. I'm not a big fan of playing guys that are friends off the court. But I thought that this game in particular, obviously we recruit Florida, so it allows us to get into Florida for a game. He's building his program. He went through last year some of the same things I went through my first year here. And then the most important part, he's going to recruit. That's what Orlando does. When you guys see his team on Saturday, the parts are in place. Now it's a matter of those guys starting to learn how to play with each other and comprehend his system, and he understand his players. But the parts are in place. They've got some real good players in place. Now, as the season goes on, they're going to be a problem for a lot of people come February and March. So it's going to be a heck of a challenge for us. But the most important part to this scheduling that game is exactly what your question was. We have a responsibility, he and I, that I know we take a lot of pride in, to doing something and bringing attention on something that, there's 5 young Hispanic coaches out there that kind of watch this game, and because they see us, they pursue this as a career, and they stay the course like he has, like I've tried to do, and maybe we can open the door for them down the road. That's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Coach, going back to the record, obviously it's easy for you guys as coaches to kind of focus on the moment, but when you're dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, how do you keep them grounded? Because obviously they haven't experienced this kind of success at the college level yet.
If I change my approach based on records, then the players get confused. We try to stay very consistent with who we are, regardless of records, games, and scores. Obviously, there's times where we're not playing well, where my demeanor is a little different than when we are playing well. But the expectations, they always remain the same. The consistency with what's expected, that never changes. And at the end of the day, most important part in any relationship for any organization is communication. We have to communicate with our guys. We can't allow our record or yesterday to impact our enthusiasm, our excitement, our ability to believe in one another in any way, shape, or form. The older we get, the more we start comprehending how important it is that we learn how to do our jobs the right way every day. How we have to, it is impossible to keep a job in life if every time someone asks you how you're doing, you're like, if that's your response, you're not keeping a job. It's just a matter of time before you're moved out and you go somewhere else. And when you're young and you're expected to do a lot of work all the time, they don't understand that's, as long as the good Lord allows us to be on this planet, we're going to have to get out of bed and go to work. I mean, that's the beauty of this country. That's the opportunity it presents to us. If you do that, you got a chance to move forward. If you don't, then you'll be another complainer that nobody wants to deal with. And young people don't understand that yet because they've never been exposed to that on a consistent basis. And the older you get, the greater the expectations of that get. So our communication with them is huge. But I think the most important part is that we as coaches remain consistent with who we are, how we go about things, how we communicate, how we demand that we all do our jobs, regardless of records and so forth. I think that's the most important part.
You talked about the defensive lapses and bad practices, and then about how they responded the couple of days leading up to Monday's game, and obviously it led to a better performance. Do you think they understand now how important practice is in preparation?
Yeah, that's been the journey for the last 3 years, is to get those guys that never had anyone in place that comprehended that to help them. I think that's why that core group of juniors and seniors, they get that. That's why we've been so good in the preseason. That's why our workouts in the spring and the summer were far, not even close to the best workouts we've had since we've been here. And I also think that's why I've developed the trust that I have in this basketball team, is because of those guys' daily approach. If you look around the country, and when we lose games, you'll rarely ever hear me utilize reasons as to why maybe things happen. We won, so I'm going to do this. If you look around the country, not too many of the good teams played real well on Thanksgiving Day or the day after Thanksgiving. It's a difficult time period to play. I'm not sitting here saying we're one of the good teams, but we didn't play real well because we didn't prepare real well. We had a bunch of games bunched up, competitive games. We had to travel. We had Thanksgiving. Kids being away from their freshmen, being away from their families for the first time in their lives for Thanksgiving. And it's not an easy thing to kind of go through. and our upperclassmen weren't very good going into that game. And we went out and played that way. But at halftime, I didn't have to raise my voice. I didn't have to go in there and threaten someone's job or, just went in there and told them. I said, yo, we've had an unbelievable slew of good days in a row. I'm not going to overreact to a bad moment after you guys have worked so hard for so long. We created this problem today. Figure out a way to get out of it in the second half. And they responded. And then we came back, had 2 great practices. And after watching the film, it's kind of what I felt. I thought our enthusiasm, our effort defensively against Western Carolina, I thought we were real good.
Frank, do you see yourself as kind of carrying a banner for Hispanic coaches in D1? Have you ever thought of yourself as that guy, or do you just say, I'm happy to present that side of it while I'm coaching basketball?
Yeah, my high school coach, Shaky Rodriguez, who was just like one of the few basketball people in our neighborhood as kids growing up, he got an opportunity. He's the guy that helped all of us grow up and believed in all of us in a sport that there's not too many Hispanics in, or at least 1980. And him and a slew of people in our neighborhood that they all loved basketball. They were the ones that kind of stayed on us to teach us, keep us out of trouble, believe in us, challenge us, make us work, the whole deal. He got an opportunity at Florida International back in 1995. So he might be, I don't know if this is true, he might be the first born Cuban American in the history of Division I to be a head coach. And he had some success, but he lost his job. I have a responsibility to him and all those other guys that work so hard to open up a door for me to have a chance in this business, to do the same, to try and open up doors. It's not just for Hispanics now. It's for any young guy out there. It's for anyone. It's just it's an unbelievable responsibility that I try to teach our players, and then young people in coaching. You don't have to be a 15-year NBA All-Star to be a good basketball coach. You can't put winning games above winning people. You can't put your salary number ahead of doing the right things. It's all consistent, and it's a different path for everybody. At the end of the day, it's when you get the opportunity, are you going to be man enough to keep a job? And being man enough is not winning games. Being man enough is being able to make the right decisions and manage people and doing things the right way, not taking shortcuts. And that's what I was taught as a young person, and that's how I try to live my life now.
Going back to Monday night, you talked about guarding the point guard.
Mm-hmm.
After watching film, you still displeased with that? And also, if you prepare McMurray this week as their leading scorer, he's a freshman, but that obviously gives you a great opportunity to test more people for him.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I just think their point guard early in the game just kind of really attacked us, and maybe we as coaches didn't do as good a job to prepare for that moment. We didn't think he was going to dribble drive the ball going into the game. We thought he was going to catch and shoot threes and just pass it to the wing, and he came out and tried to drive us. So we probably didn't do as good a job to prepare our players for that moment early in the game. I thought once the game evolved, we really adjusted there, and we got a lot better there. Our point guard play has been pretty. It hasn't been great from a statistic standpoint. Think about the teams we've played. Their players of the year have all played with the ball in their hands, and those are the guys we're going against, and we've been dealing with it with PJ and Stroman, who were freshmen and sophomore. And Stroh got hurt, and PJ had to man that kind of by himself. And Sindarius, who we didn't really spend a lot of time practicing at the point in preseason, that's the beauty of being an upperclassman. Since he's done it before and he's so consumed in what we do, you can kind of throw him in there and he knows what needs to take place. But our point guard play hasn't been as bad as maybe the stats make you believe. In reality, it's been better, because that's why I think those other guys are having the success they're having, is because our play there is pretty solid and consistent. Now what I have to do is I have to do a better job of creating opportunity. PJ's done, let's use PJ for an example, because he's such an awesome kid. For his high school resume, he hasn't come in here and said, well, you're doing all this for him, what are you doing for me? Not once. On the contrary, he's bought into what I'm asking him to do for everyone else. I have to start doing a better job of implementing things to showcase his not showcase, bad word, to utilize his talent to help our basketball team continue to become harder to defend. And that's on me. That's my job. But I understand how to do that for Mike and Sindarius and those other guys because we've been together for so long. I'm still trying to figure PJ out because there's things that he does in high school games that are not going to work in college. Same thing with Stroh. Stroh showed up last year, and I said it when I was asked, because of Zach Norris and the way that he was coached in high school, he was prepared to deal with the competitiveness of college basketball. Now he's having to understand how to play within the structure of college basketball, which is another step in his growth. We're still as coaches in the place that we're trying to figure out those things for those individual players. But our point guard play, when we played Hofstra and Tulsa, their point guards were real good. Fifth-year seniors, real good. And I thought our point guard play in those two games were off the charts. We've got to be better when we play. We got to do a better job as coaches in making our young point guards understand the sense of urgency that you have to prepare for every single team you play against.
I know you'd always like to see them rebound the basketball a little bit better, but how impressed are you with the development of Mendogas and Lamonis? Obviously, being seniors, but they look like they've taken a big step into this final year for them.
Yeah, it's what's happening is with being able to play Mike Mendogas together and Lamonis' development has created Lamonis has created a presence at the rim now. So teams are consumed with that. It opens up a lot of avenues now on offensive rebounds, on other players, shooting the basketball. I think that's why you're seeing Mike get so many open shots. The other guards are getting open shots. They just haven't made, Dwayne started off like gangbusters. He's kind of cooled off here lately. He'll be fine because I know how hard he works at it. I know how hard Sindarius works at it. He's going to get going here and make shots for us because of the presence Lamonis has created at the rim. I think they all go hand in hand. How hard they've all worked, their understanding of what we're trying to do, their sense of urgency. See, they don't, like I was just talking about our young guards, they had those moments where, and I talked this is earlier about the questions about our record. I'll tell you what I have talked to our guys about. I told our seniors, I said, you guys remember you guys were freshmen, we're playing Elon? How many of you guys knew where Elon was located? They had no idea. So, well, did you find out after they came in here and beat us by 20? I said those are the lessons. They didn't prepare for Elon because they thought that we're South Carolina, rah, 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 we're winning. And we went in there and got our tails handed to us. Well, here we are 3 years later, pretty good Lipscomb team. Those upperclassmen didn't take them for granted. When we got to the moment, they weren't good in practice, but we got in the moment. Our preparation allowed us to get there. And I think all those things go hand in hand with those guys, the Lithuanians. Mendogas is awesome. I've never been around a kid that's worked harder to become a good player. Never. And that's including all my high school years. I mean, that's he's so genuine in how much he cares and how hard he's worked. Lamonis, I've told you, I've probably been harder on him than anyone since I've been in college basketball. And he's never once has he walked out of that gym. On the contrary, comes back the next day, tries to do it a little bit better. They've made themselves into real good players. Now we need them to keep doing the things they're doing. And obviously, like Lamonis, he can't play like he did the other night. When you become a good player, that's the problem with succeeding in life. When you have some kind of success, then it's expected of you to be like that all the time. You can't show up and take a day off because too many people start depending on you. That's Lamonis' next step. You know, he's made himself into a good player. He's made himself into an SEC athlete. Now he's got to understand that all that work he put in has put him in a place where a lot of people now depend on him being that person every day. Can't take days off. And that's the next step, and that's part of the journey. We're still in the middle of it.
You've said a couple of times that the younger guys need to learn how to play against defenses in college. How do you think that's progressing so far?
I think that's why our team's been good, because those young guys are good. Like, for example, going into the team we just played, Western Carolina, we're doing these drills, and we made PJ and Sindarius guard each other in every drill. And it was unbelievable. PJ's very good. Sindarius is a very good player. Watching those two guys in practice go against each other was phenomenal. That's what's made us into a good basketball team, that competitiveness that we have in practice. That's the first time we've had that since I've been here. Mindaugas, why do you think Mindaugas is playing so well? Well, he's put in all this work, but he's got this young buck in Chris Silva that he's got to chase around every single play up and down the court in practice. That keeps you sharp, you know, and the same thing, Limonis. Guess who Limonis has to practice against every single play this year? Eric Cobb. That dude's a load. Well, Eric doesn't understand some things as well as he needs to, but he's such a load that it's made Limonis deal with a 6'10", 300-pound guy, or excuse me, he'd be mad at me if I said that, 280-pound guy, because he has lost all that weight, every single play in practice. That's how you stay, you stay sharp. I was watching, just like Gunner, I watch a lot of football, and I was watching on Sunday the ESPN football show before the games actually start. Every Sunday I think the Dolphins are going to win, so I kind of watch a show to see if they can pick up my spirits. And they had two Carolina Panthers guys there. One guy's a 12-year NFL linebacker, Davis, I think's his last name. The other, or is that who it was? It was Davis, and the other one was a defensive back. And Tom Jackson says to them, talk to me about your guys' practices. Now, you're talking about the only undefeated team left in the NFL, and a guy's been in the NFL for 12 years, not a rookie that's trying to find his ways. And that guy said, our practices every day are the ones versus the ones, and they are as competitive as they can be. No surprise that they're as physical and as disciplined and as good as they are. That's what we try to create in our practice. If that works for a guy that's 34, 5 years old in the NFL, you better believe it's going to work for a 20-year-old in college that's still trying to figure things out.
You kind of alluded to it, but I'm doing an overarching story on the week of giving. It's different when it's 8K during the summer, but when it's middle of the season, how nice is it to see your guys go out there and bake cookies and fill up gift bags and do all that kind of stuff and just willing to give of their time for the community?
It's, Brian, it's part of our duty as coaches. It's our duty to prepare guys for life. If any of them ever make it as a professional athlete, that's going to be expected of them. That's something they don't just get to pick and choose when they do things. They're going to be in the middle of the season and the holidays, and they're going to be expected to do things for those communities. It's part of my job to prepare them for that. If they choose to never play basketball for a day after college and they become a banker or the other jobs, there's no season for banking. There's no season for a real estate agent. There's no season for a landscaper. That's like 365. Giving is always in the middle of your season. So it's very important to us that we prepare our guys for that next chapter in their life. And, it'd be easier to tell our guys on their day off, just go to class, go lay down, don't do anything, but that's not the way life works. And they enjoy doing it. We've gotten to that place as a program where our guys kind of look forward to those moments. It's fun to be it makes them understand by getting around people how important what they do is to so many people in this community. So it takes that interest out of themselves. It's no longer about me. It's about, wow, I make those people feel good. I better do my job better for that person, not for myself. And, it's awesome. It's great. We signed somebody? My phone was buzzing, and I didn't want to take the call, and I saw you left. I thought maybe we signed somebody. I'm not talking about football. I'm talking about basketball. I thought maybe we signed somebody. Shoot. My pleasure.